Averageness should be allowed to be an option, a viable option that's not looked down upon or pitied. Hello, welcome to Kalia's Corner. My name is Kalia, and this is my corner, obviously. And this is a channel where I talk about popular culture and how it relates to me. You saw the title of the video, so let's get into the video. Recently, I have had a hard time accepting my averageness. And I feel like it's something that is kind of universal, something that we see a lot in culture, specifically North American culture, about how we should essentially strive to be unique and different. Words such as basic are derogatory towards us. We constantly feel the need to be different. We've heard the term not like other girls and how that also plays into not wanting to be average, not wanting to be the same. For me, I feel like I kind of came into this problem recently when I watched the movie Sinners. Sinners was such a great movie. As a writer, I have a love-hate relationship with watching films that are really, really good. I feel like when it comes to watching or reading media that I perceive to be as exceptional, as above average, it kind of reinforces my own averageness. It basically makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. And I basically am stuck in this loop. I feel like I need to be doing more to get where I want to be, but I'm talking to my therapist and he's constantly like, you need to accept where you are. You have to accept that where you are right now is completely fine. It's more than enough. And that's something that's been really hard for me to accept. But I want to. I want to do the work to accept where I am right now and accept myself for who I am right now in this moment because there's nothing wrong with who I am in this moment. I think one way that I can help myself further this goal is questioning why I thought average was so bad in the first place and why we consistently push the idea that average is bad in a capitalist society.
I had this random epiphany yesterday that capitalism robs us of simplicity. It robs us of fulfillment. It makes us look at people living those type of lives and kind of pity them. We wonder, is this all they want? How could they not want more? I wouldn't say that having more things make you happier. I wouldn't say that having more access to things make you happier. I would say knowing about them and not having them makes you sad. But if you don't know about them and you're fulfilled and content, I think that's actually better because you're not aware of all, like, you're just aware of what you need to know, and that's it. Capitalism robs you of that. Capitalism is always showing you something more to aspire to. So by the time you get to the life that you were dreaming of, there's a new life that has been conjured and marketed and, manufactured for you to desire.
So, obviously, we have to talk about capitalism. We all know the story of capitalism. American ambition, we're basically taught to work hard, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. We're taught to work hard to achieve these amazing, these great things. Essentially, with enough hard work, you can go anywhere in life. There's subtext behind that. It's not an option. Hard work is not an option in a capitalist society. If you want to make it big, if you want to have all of these things, you have to work hard. The presumption is that you should want these things. These things should be something that you want. You shouldn't want a more simple, peaceful life. You should want the finer things. You should want the material goods. You should want the accolades, the recognition, the achievements. You should want all of that. The Times article, The Case for Mediocrity, the author talks about how the idea of the American dream has changed within the last century. American dream used to be furthering the common good, furthering helping your community, furthering servicing others. Now it's more about having the big house in the suburbs with 2.5 kids, white picket fence, we all know that, right? It has basically evolved from something that is more selfless to something that is completely individualistic, completely selfish. And I think that's also another aspect of where we go wrong with talking about capitalism. In these Times article called "The Problem Isn't That People Are Greedy, It's That They're Capitalist," the author quotes Frederick Engels, who states, "We have seen that the perfectibility of modern machinery, developed to the highest degree, becomes transformed by the means of the anarchy of production in society into a compulsory law for the individual industrial capitalist constantly to improve his machinery, constantly to increase its productive power. The bare factual possibility of extending his sphere of production becomes transformed, for him, into a similar compulsory law. The enormous expansive force of modern industry, in comparison with which that of gases is veritable child's play, appears now before our eyes as qualitative and quantitative need to expand, which laughs at all resistance. Basically, what Frederick Engels is explaining in this quote is the idea of the grow or die mentality. The idea that you need to be constantly pushing for the most recent, the most newest, the most productive advancements in technology, or else you are completely behind. Again, this is seen as something that should be desirable. This is seen as something that you should want. This is not seen as an option. Progress in this way is seen as something that is inevitable, seen as something that people should desire, people should want in order to create a more productive society. Another reason why capitalism pushes away the idea of averageness is the connection between hard work and morality. In the TED Talk, Does Working Hard Really Make You a Good Person by Azim Sharif, he basically talks about how we moralize hard work in society. And it's not just American society, although that is specifically what I'm talking about today. It's also in other cultures. He also explains an example where two people are working towards the same goal. Both have the same productivity. They both achieve the same thing in the same time. But one of them has an easier time with this work while the other one struggles through this work. And what has been found in this rhetorical scenario is that people will moralize the hardworking one, the person that takes more effort to produce than the one that does not take as much effort into producing the same thing. Even if the productivity, even if what you produce is the same, people value effort. People value more effort and moralize more effort than less effort. I think that this can be useful on an individual level, right? You want people in your life who are going to stick it out with you. You want people in your life who are dependable and loyal and who are not going to take the easy way out. But it comes at a price when it is put as a societal expectation. Basically, what happens is that with putting in this hard work, putting in this effort, moralizing that effort that you put in, people begin to sacrifice their needs to be perceived as hardworking, to be perceived as a moral and good person. We're not necessarily getting more done during this time, but if we look like we're putting in more effort, if we are constantly sacrificing our needs, if we are seen as dependable, if we stick it out even when it's incredibly tough, if we are honestly more able to be taken advantage of, if we are more likely to fall under authority, we are seen as a good person. We are perceived as good people. The result of moralizing hard work comes at the price of our sanity. Your boundaries is your rights, is your needs, your beliefs, your values. It also comes at the expense of community because we are constantly in competition with each other. We are seeing people as stepping stones. We are seeing people as threats. We're not seeing people as people that we can collaborate with or be in community with, right? Ultimately, the idea of being hardworking and that being moral achieves a goal that is determined by other people. You can't achieve that goal by yourself, right? You have to have the approval, the validation of other people to be seen as moral, to be seen as good, to be seen as hardworking and dependable. I think that when we fight for external achievement, external satisfaction, it's less fulfilling. We see that a lot with people who are CEOs or people who are billionaires or millionaires or whatever, and they're unsatisfied with their life because even though they've strived and they've made all these great external achievements, internally, they're not satisfied. Internally, because they haven't done the work to truly satisfy what feels right for them, what feels good to them, because they're falling in this capitalist idea that they need to constantly be better than what they are. They can never find satisfaction with their external achievements. They're not happy. I feel like it's very easy to fall into this trap. I have graduated college and I am in the job market for searching for a job. And I constantly feel like I need to be doing more to find a job, even though I'm doing all that I can, even though I am applying to jobs every single day, even though I am updating my resume almost weekly at this point, right? It feels like I am a failure for essentially not having a job because I'm not working hard enough. If I was just working hard enough, if I was doing what I needed to do, then I would have a job, right? But that's not the case of the economy right now, right? The job market is oversaturated. And for me, especially as a writer, wanting to be someone that works in the writing industry, it's incredibly dangerous for me because AI is taking a lot of our jobs. And I feel like this kind of started when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, even when I was in elementary school, when I went to these magnet schools, these prestigious schools that encouraged students to be better than what they are, to always be striving to get these great achievements, get this recognition, get these good grades, and the ultimate goal to get into a good school. We were competing with each other. We were seeing each other as competition rather than people that we could be friends with or people that we could be in community with. Essentially, it kind of created this mentality in me that if I am not working hard, I don't feel good. I don't feel like a good person. I don't feel like I am doing all that I can do. I think a lot of that comes with how I am being perceived by other people. If I'm being perceived by other people as being hardworking, if I am being perceived by other people as doing enough, I can feel myself like I'm doing everything that I can. But if someone comes up to me and says, hey, you need to be doing more, you need to be applying to 10 jobs every day, you need to be updating your resume daily, you need to be like, you need to get up and you need to do more. I'm striving to reach this goal that is dependent upon the perception of other people. You get recognition, you get validation, but you don't get any personal satisfaction from it. And I think that's where I want to talk about mediocrity. We run ourselves ragged trying to fit into these expectations that capitalism has for us. We burn ourselves out. We don't take care of our needs. We don't take care of our mental health. We don't take care of our families. We don't spend time with our friends. These points of connection that we are missing, all of these values that we have within ourselves that we are neglecting because we are trying to reach these goals that you may not even want to reach. You're just being told that you need to reach them. You're being told that you need to be more than you are. I think when it comes to embracing averageness, embracing mediocrity, that can help combat a lot of that need to strive, need to continually be working towards improvement.
I feel like I haven't seen anyone on this app talk about how hard it is to be unattractive. Like, being unattractive is so depressing.
There has been this trend of women on TikTok coming onto the platform and talking hella shit about their appearance, saying that they're ugly and that they struggle with being ugly in society, that they don't get treated well by men, they don't get romantic attention, they don't get romantic validation, people treat them less than, they are tired of being perceived as unattractive. And I really think this conversation kickstarted with a YouTuber named Aisha. She created a video that I had saved for a while, but she deleted it due to, I think, all the hate comments that she was getting because I saw them and they were horrendous. I think a common thread that we are seeing throughout these videos is that these women aren't unattractive. These women aren't ugly. These women are average. Personally, I understand what it feels like to struggle with the idea of being an average looking person. I have fantasized, daydreamed so much about being what I deem exceptionally beautiful. And it comes at the cost of living in my reality, right? It comes at the cost of being present in this moment, being present in my life, because I would much prefer the fantasy where I am model-esque. I understand wanting to look better than what you look like, right? Because I feel like when we talk about beauty, I have an essay on Substack about this called I Don't Feel Beautiful and I'm Okay with That. We talk about beauty, we constantly are talking about this idea of subjectivity. And I think that does play into beauty. I do think that it is very important to challenge people's thinking when it comes to how they think about themselves aesthetic wise, because yeah, there are people that are going to find you attractive. It may be a fewer number of people than, people who are conventionally attractive, right? But I think that it's really important to acknowledge that there is an objective beauty standard. There is an objective standard of beauty in America. I think expanding this idea of beauty, in my opinion, I don't feel like it works because we are still basically reinforcing this idea of what is considered beautiful, right? We expand this idea to include Black women. Those Black women are light skinned. Those Black women have Eurocentric features. Those Black women are super thin. They are not seen as beautiful if they fit outside of that. And I think with the way that society is progressing when it comes to the use of AI in Vogue, not necessarily that Vogue itself was using AI, but there was an ad, a guess, where they used AI models and it was in a Vogue magazine. The statue of the Black woman in New York City and how much criticism that statue received for literally depicting an average Black woman, right? So many people were offended by that. So many people were like, well, why can't Black women be beautiful? Why can't Black women be exceptionally beautiful? I think all of these things signal how unreachable, how fake beauty standards are becoming now. With AI, you can create women that are flawless, that are conventionally attractive and perfect. And now we have that to compare ourselves to because of the internet. We have that to compare ourselves to because of progress, because of our inability to know where to stop. With these women coming on TikTok and talking about how much they feel unattractive, I don't think that it's right to sit here and invalidate their feelings. Well, everyone's beautiful and you just need to have confidence, right? Because there are real life consequences to not being beautiful. People get bullied. People get asked out on fake dates. I've definitely gotten fake asked out by guys when I was in middle school all the time because I was seen as unattractive to them. I remember there was this list going around in high school of the most attractive girls in our grade. I didn't even ask where I was because I knew that it was going to be super low in comparison to everybody else that I was going to school with. I knew that I was not going to be on the top of that list. I understood that and I internalized that and I believed for a very, very long time that I was incredibly ugly. When we fail to deliver beauty as a woman, our womanhood essentially is threatened. We feel like we are less of a woman, less of a person, really, because we are told that beauty is the one thing that we have to offer in a capitalist society. When we don't have that, it feels like a moral failing. And the problem is that we treat it like a moral failing. We treat it like you are wrong if you are not beautiful, right? I saw this video, this TikTok of this woman explaining how people will moralize weight gain or being fat, basically saying that you're not trying hard enough if you are gaining weight. You're not trying hard enough if you're fat, and it's your fault. Not considering factors such as genetics. It is constantly seen to be on us to be better than what we are, but what is perceived to be better than what we are, right? And so our response to seeing videos like Aisha's are to be like, well, you just need to do this and you need to do that. Basically, optimizing your looks, right? Optimizing your attractiveness, your aestheticness, your beauty. And if you're not seen as doing that, it's not only that you are at fault for being not beautiful, it's that you're not working hard enough. You're not putting in enough effort, and it's on you, and you need to accept that where you are is your fault. You're not putting in the effort to be enough as a person, to be full, to be whole as a person, right? And I think the other way that we moralize beauty is we basically hold beautiful people to these standards that they can't meet, right? We say that you're too pretty to be in this kind of situation. He's too ugly for that, or, he's too ugly, he doesn't deserve this, or whatever. Basically, to be a good person, you have to be beautiful first. Who are we to sit here and tell people that are not attractive that they don't deserve love, happiness, that they don't deserve peace and contentment with themselves, that they need to constantly be striving to be better than what they are, to be deemed as acceptable by you, by your perception? What if they're fine with who they are? What if they're fine with exactly how they look? Basically, what I want to say on that is that it is okay to feel unattractive, to not like the idea of being an average looking person. But there doesn't have to be anything wrong with being an average looking person, because at the end of the day, someone in this world does not find you unattractive. Someone in this world likes you for what you look like and who you are. You don't have to change, optimize your beauty, constantly be elevating your look, doing all these things to be lovable, because you are lovable as you are right now. I also want to talk about wellness culture, how that has been hijacked by capitalist beliefs.
Capitalism is so entrenched in the wellness industrial complex because it makes people billions of dollars. So it's trained us to think that wellness means self-care in terms of bubble baths and expensive supplements and things you have to do to take care of yourself. And while those things can sometimes be helpful, wellness must include community care.
I feel like when you think of wellness, when you think of self care, you think of buying face masks, you think of going to nail salon, you think of getting your hair done, you think of all of these things that you can buy, which makes wellness, makes self care seen as more of a privilege, as more of a luxury than something that we're all deserving of. People who are houseless, people who are struggling financially, they deserve to also have wellness within their life. They deserve to take care of themselves. And I also think wellness culture promotes this endless loop of self improvement, this constant striving to be better than what you are, constantly going to the gym, eating healthier. And like these things are good on a certain level, and they are seen as the requirement, the standard for taking care of yourself, instead of reconnecting with your family or being more community oriented instead of individualistic. I think that's where the problem lies, and I think the problem also lies in constantly promoting things that you have to buy, constantly promoting consumer culture. I think that self-care, wellness culture, it has been transformed into the idea of something that you need to work on to be able to achieve. The idea of wellness and the idea of self care is to get away from the work, kind of allow yourself to relax and to breathe. But with wellness culture, with self care, it's like a constant need to be working on yourself, to be doing better, to be constantly improving. And if it doesn't work, if the self-care rituals don't work, if the candles don't work, the bubble baths, the face masks, if they don't work, then that's on you. Instead of talking about how the need of wellness culture and self-care comes from capitalism, how these problems are perpetuated through capitalism, doing things like face masks and candles and bubble baths, they can be helpful, but they don't actually address the root of the problem. It's putting a band-aid over a deep wound. And I think what we need to consider, like what she said in the video, is that with wellness culture, with self care, it comes with community. It comes with taking care of your community. It comes with accessibility. It comes with the achievement of basic human rights for all people, right? That's wellness, because that's what's going to actually promote good health, good spirit, good mental health within people.
Are you going to ruin this fucking moment?
I absolutely have to.
We all know I was going to put race into this, okay? Let's Okay, so I want to talk about Black excellence. When we get into Black excellence, right, the main thing I want to talk about is it in comparison to averageness for white people, and how we have to put in 10 times the effort to get half of the things that white people get for doing half of what we do, right? There is no room for being average as a Black person, because if you are an average Black person, you're basically nothing. You need to be in this culture where you are constantly striving to be the best in the room. Because if you're not the best in the room, then they don't even look at you. They don't even notice you, right? You're not even there to them. You're in this survival mode, constantly proving yourself to other people instead of proving yourself to yourself, holding yourself to standards that you believe in, that you value, instead of what other people value. And I get that that's really hard to do in a society where we are constantly being devalued, being oppressed. It's damn near impossible, honestly. I think that's why we need to have conversations like these to address the issue, instead of completely brushing over it and saying that, well, there's no use, this is just how it is, how it's always been. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of people to say like, "What's wrong with striving for excellence as a black person? What's wrong with wanting to be the best person in the room?" Nothing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be excellent, be good at what you do. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when it becomes a requirement rather than an option. And I think that's the through line through this entire video is that averageness should be allowed to be an option, a viable option that's not looked down upon or pitied. There should be an option for averageness. There should be an option for you to live your life as simply and as wholly and as richly as you want to live it. And if that is living an average life, then okay. If that's living a more luxurious life, if that's living a more laborious life, okay. But basically, you should have the option to choose instead of it being like, well, you need to do this in order to be seen, in order to move up in society, in order to have the things that you need. I think that when it comes to striving for excellence as a black person, we are told that we have to work twice as hard to get in the same rooms as white people. And in that, we burn out. We work ourselves to death. We don't know when to stop. And I think that's also a large factor of black capitalism, right? And I want to quote from this article from the Black Feminist Collective called The Black Bourgeoisie, Black Capitalism, and the Myth of Black Excellence. I want to read this quote. In settings like HBCUs or bourgeoisie art shows, one is expected to work 10 times as hard under sporadic conditions. For what? Funding? From Euro Western patriarchal investors whose wealth perpetuates those same conditions we sell our precious art to escape? For appraisal, collapse, and approval from those who think your gifts need guidelines and conditioning to be accepted? When ideologies like these persist, black artists are in prison, having to choose between success and the rights to parent your own creations. I think that is a perfect encapsulation of what black capitalism is. Falling into the system that oppresses us will save us. Falling into line, doing what is expected of us, and doing it better than white people is going to get us as a community farther. But what it really does is it gets one person farther. It doesn't further all black people. They'll use you as the excuse. They'll use you as the exception. You're not the standard. You're not the rule. And at the end of the day, you are catering to the white man. You are catering to the white man's money. This money doesn't come from black people. What you earn, what you get, you are getting from white people. They are giving it to you. And you're doing your little tap dance and song to get this wealth from white people who determine whether or not you are good enough, if you are valuable enough to have it. Like I said again, using the tactics that they've used to oppress us to build ourselves up is not going to work. Right? Think of Audre Lorde. The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. That's just a basic fact. It's not going to work. I think that when we accept black people in all forms, when we allow black people to just simply exist as who they are, rather than telling them, you need to be better, accepting black people for where they are, I think that is the most radical thing that you can do. It's not being excellent in a white society. It's accepting who we are. It's accepting that there's never been anything wrong with us in the first place. That is the most radical and the most fundamental thing that you need to do to eradicate Black lives. Thoughts? I don't know. No, seriously. I don't know. I have no idea what we're going to do about it. I think having conversations like these is going to be essential to getting to a place where we can accept who we are in our natural state, accepting who we are and valuing our own beliefs. I think questioning why it's so hard for you to accept why you don't want to be average is going to be key. Questioning what are my values? What do I believe in? What will make me happy? What will make me feel successful? Instead of what do I need to do to fulfill the success expectations that are pushed upon me in a capitalist society? What makes me feel good? I think that when you center not only your own beliefs and your values, but you also center your community, I think that it makes a world of a difference in determining what really and actually truly matters. Because I think that we can get so caught up in things that don't matter. I think it's important to live for yourself. and to do things for yourself. I think it's important to acknowledge that where you are now is perfectly good enough. Not even good enough, it's more than enough. You are more than enough where you are right now. You don't have to do more to be more valuable or to be more worthy. You don't have to prove yourself. And that doesn't mean that you need to stay in the same self destructing, self sabotaging habits that you do. It doesn't mean that you don't need to do work on yourself to improve your mental state, to improve how you connect with other people. But it does mean that where you are, that who you are, you're valuable. You're significant. You're important exactly as you are. You don't have to work to be significant. You don't have to work to matter, to be valued. And that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video and researching this topic. I talked to a lot of people about it before I made the video, and I hope that you like it. I hope that you resonated with it and connected with it. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, okay. Bye.